Why are some people naturally resistant to popular opinions, authority figures, and societal norms? Tell an average person a rule, and they follow it. Tell them a story on the news, and they accept it. But tell a habitual questioner the exact same thing, and their immediate, automatic reaction isn't compliance, it's scrutiny. To the outside world, people who challenge every narrative are often labeled as cynical, argumentative, or difficult to manage. But cognitive psychology and behavioral science reveal a far deeper reality. Questioning everything isn't a personality flaw, it is a sophisticated cognitive defense mechanism designed to protect mental sovereignty in a world driven by social engineering, propaganda, and groupthink. Why do some minds automatically audit reality, while others accept whatever they are fed? What is the specific neural wiring behind the chronic questioner? Welcome back to Sigma Intelligence. Today, we are decoding the psychology of people who question everything and uncovering the cognitive mechanics of independent thought. To understand why certain people constantly interrogate reality, we have to look at a key psychological trait: need for cognition. In psychology, need for cognition describes an individual's intrinsic motivation to engage in and enjoy intellectually demanding tasks. People with a high need for cognition don't just passively absorb information, their brains are wired to actively deconstruct it. When an average person receives a claim, their brain uses cognitive shortcuts, known as heuristics, to quickly determine whether to believe it. Does an authority figure say it's true? Does everyone else believe it? Does it feel comfortable? For the chronic questioner, these emotional shortcuts fail completely. Their prefrontal cortex demands empirical evidence, logical consistency, and structural validity before granting belief. They don't reject information out of spite. They reject unverified assertions because their minds are hardwired to prioritize truth over convenience. The vast majority of human decision-making is guided by social proof, the subconscious belief that if the majority is doing something, it must be correct. In evolutionary history, conforming to the tribe kept you alive. Following the crowd meant safety, while standing alone meant exile. Because of this evolutionary pressure, most human brains experience severe anxiety when thinking outside of group consensus. People who question everything possess a rare psychological trait: low susceptibility to normative social influence. They are structurally immune to the comfort of the crowd. While others conform to avoid social tension, the questioner views group consensus with immediate suspicion. They know that historical breakthroughs, scientific advancements, and true strategic advantages have almost never come from following the herd. They come from the solitary minds willing to ask, "What if the crowd is completely wrong?" Most people reason by analogy. They copy what others do with minor tweaks. They follow societal scripts without ever asking who wrote them or why. Chronic questioners rely on a powerful cognitive framework known as first principles thinking. Instead of accepting a concept at face value, a first principles thinker strips a problem down to its most fundamental truths, the basic facts that cannot be deduced any further, and builds their conclusions up from there. Reasoning by analogy. Everyone buys a house at 30 and works a 9 to 5 until retirement, so I should too. First principles reasoning. Why am I exchanging my non-renewable life hours for this specific mortgage structure? Is this financial model serving my autonomy, or is it serving the institution funding it? By breaking down assumptions to their core components, questioners escape the invisible cultural programming that keeps the majority trapped in cycles of default living. Why do institutions, dogmatic groups, and insecure leaders dislike people who question everything? Because authority relies on asymmetric information and blind compliance to maintain control. When an individual begins asking deep, structural questions, they disrupt the power dynamic. A questioner doesn't care about titles, credentials, or formal authority. They care about logic, evidence, and results. When you ask, "Why?" you force the authority figure to justify their position, using reason rather than status. If their position is built on a weak foundation, the question exposes the flaw instantly. This makes the questioner dangerous to rigid systems, not because they are destructive, but because clarity is the ultimate enemy of artificial power. Questioning everything is a superpower, but without direction, it can turn into chronic cynicism or mental paralysis. Here is how you refine this psychological trait into a weapon for absolute personal mastery. Question your own questions. True independent thinkers don't just audit external narratives. They relentlessly audit their own biases, assumptions, and emotional blind spots. If you only question things you disagree with, you aren't an independent thinker, you're just confirmation biased. Distinguish skepticism from cynicism. Skepticism is about seeking evidence and truth. Cynicism is about assuming everything is corrupt or meaningless. Use your inquiry to find what is genuine, useful, and true. Action over interrogation. Don't get trapped in infinite intellectual loops. Once you have deconstructed a problem and verified the fundamental facts, execute with absolute precision and speed. To question everything is not to reject the world, it is to demand a deeper, higher quality relationship with reality. In an era of hyperinformation, algorithmic manipulation, and manufactured consensus, the ability to think independently is no longer just an intellectual preference, it is your ultimate strategic advantage. What is one societal norm or narrative you started questioning that completely changed your path? Let's discuss it in the comments below. If this analysis sharpened your perspective, hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe to Sigma Intelligence for more high-level strategic breakdowns. Thanks for watching and stay sharp.